Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. As we get into Romans chapter 12, we have the Apostle Paul encouraging us to both uh, consecrate ourselves before God and then also to renew our minds. In verses 1 and 2, it says, "Therefore I exhort you, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a sacrifice, living, holy, and pleasing to God, which is your spiritual service of worship. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may approve what the will of God is, that which is good and pleasing and perfect." So, of course, this is in a broader context where he had been talking about the will of God and the purpose of God in working through the Jews and the Gentiles. We won't go into all of that, but the main thing here that we want to draw out is this idea of consecration and renewal of the mind. This brings us to the pathway of beginning to see things the way that God sees them. And again, it starts with consecration. Consecration says, present your bodies as a sacrifice. Just as the Israelites would bring their sacrifice and present them to the Lord, then those sacrifices would be consecrated unto God, set apart for worship, set apart for an offering. So we ought to do with our bodies, but it's a living sacrifice, an ongoing sacrifice that we offer up to God. And so every day we should wake up consecrating ourselves to the Lord, saying, God, this body that you've blessed me with, I give it to you. I offer it up to you. I consecrate it to you for you to use it for your purposes and to use it to honor and to worship you. But then also there's the renewal of the mind. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. One of the ways that we become conformed to the world and we begin to think like the world and act like the world is when we haven't had a renewal of our minds. If we're not renewing our minds and constantly keeping our minds renewed, we will drift and eventually become conformed to the world. And this renewal of the mind is the basis by which we then have a renewal of life and a new approach to life. And we begin to move forward in doing the things that God would have us to do. A cross-reference for this would be found in Ephesians. We could start in verse 21. It says, "If indeed you heard him and were taught in him, just as the truth is in Jesus, to lay aside in reference to your former conduct the old man, which is being corrupted in accordance with the lusts of deceit, and to be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and to put on the new man, which is in the likeness of God, has been created in righteousness and holiness and truth." And so this renewal of the mind is the means by which we put off the old self and put on the new self. We begin to think in a different way. We now have a new identity in Christ, and we renew our minds to be aligned with that new identity that we have. And so through this process of both consecrating our bodies, but at the same time renewing our minds, we can then go out and, for one, what the Apostle Paul is saying here, we approve that the will of God is pleasing and good and perfect. But at the same time, we begin to live this life of holiness and sanctification before God, in which we show the world that God's plan is good and God's will is good, as they witness and come to realize the transformation that's taken place in our lives. So these are things we can reflect on and think about as we do read today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.